आणि भविष्याभिमुख प्रशासनाच्या उपक्रमामध्ये परिषद सभागृह 6वा मजला विस्तार इमारत येथे आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजन्स हँड्स ऑन जेन AI या विषयावर श्री एम चोकलिंगम, डायरेक्टर फ्रंटियर टेक्नॉलॉजी NASSCOM यांचे सत्र सुरू होत आहे. मंत्रालयातील सर्व अधिकारी व कर्मचाऱ्यांनी सदर सत्रासाठी उपस्थित राहून या उपक्रमात सहभागी व्हावे ही विनंती. धन्यवाद. नमस्कार. महाराष्ट्र शासन आयोजित टेकवारी 2.0 या ज्ञान, तंत्रज्ञान आणि भविष्याभिमुख प्रशासनाच्या उपक्रमामध्ये परिषद सभागृह 6वा मजला विस्तार इमारत येथे आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजन्स हँड्स ऑन जेन AI या विषयावर श्री एम चोकलिंगम, डायरेक्टर फ्रंटियर टेक्नॉलॉजी NASSCOM यांचे सत्र सुरू होत आहे. मंत्रालयातील सर्व अधिकारी व कर्मचाऱ्यांनी सदर सत्रासाठी उपस्थित राहून या उपक्रमात सहभागी व्हावे ही विनंती. धन्यवाद.
We request everyone to please settle down and put your mobile phones on silent, please. Council, and it is my privilege to be your host for today's session. We are here to talk about applied AI for governance. On behalf of the General Administration Department, I extend a heartfelt welcome to our distinguished guest and to all the officers who have made time to be here today. Generative AI is already in use in government offices, in policy work, and in citizen services. The only question that remains is whether we are ready to use it. That is what today's session is about. Not theory, not a pitch. It is hands-on, practical, and built exactly for this room. Our speaker today has done something rare. He has worked inside government building and now he shapes how AI brings industry into governance. Mr. M. Chockalingam built and deployed AI systems inside government department at the Tamil Nadu e-governance agency. He now leads frontier technology at NASSCOM, working with industry and government across the country. He has sat on both sides of the table. Before he addresses us, I request Mr. Prashant Badgeri sir, Joint Secretary, GAD, to come forward and felicitate our distinguished speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Please join me in welcoming Mr. M. Chockalingam, Director of Frontier Technology at NASSCOM, to address us.
Hey, good afternoon all. So I'm here in Mantralaya, I think fourth time. So last year I met Radha ma'am regarding the same topic. I mean, how to do this at scale, right? So I work in NASSCOM for last 2 years. Prior to that, I was with PwC for some time, quite a short stint. And then I was with the government of Tamil Nadu for 6 years as a lateral entry joint director, setting up the Center of Excellence for AI and frontier technology for the state. Right, AI, blockchain, IoT, all those stuff, which is quite popular and started popularizing in 2008-9. Right. So as part of some of the UPI stack journey with Nandan Ilekeni, and then that's a last 10 years predominantly with industry and government at vast. Right. Today what we will see, so artificial intelligence is buzzword, right? Gen AI is here for last 2.5 years, right? ChatGPT moment. Every there was an electricity moment, right? I mean, 100 years back it was electricity, then telephone. After telephone, that's internet, and after the internet, ChatGPT moment is a bigger one, right? So roughly you can see in my slide, the moment ChatGPT got released, within 2 weeks 100 million plus users started using ChatGPT. That's the kind of penetration it does, right? Let's green. Yeah. So what we will cover broadly today, I am accompanied with Amol Mohamani, who will take you through some of the typical government use cases. Sure. Yes. So Mr. Amol Mohamani will take you through some of the use cases, right? How government can use this GPTs, right? I mean, be it ChatGPT or Gemini. So all this general purpose, these are general purpose AI, right? I mean, which touches mass scale. So I will start with why AI matters now. This is the right time, right? I mean, people are everywhere. You see AI, be it in your device or be it in your home, right? Everywhere AI is there. Second, what are the foundation of AI? And machine learning, which is there for quite long time. And then the generative AI, and finally we will see some of the Maharashtra use cases, which will be broadly Amol Mohamani will cover. Let's see some of the fancy numbers. Right? $15.7 trillion. That's a market we see in 2030 in generative AI. That's a size, right? And then we see there are companies which doesn't existed 2 years back or even a year back or today valued $1 billion, right, or $1 trillion. So that's what AI brings as that's the economy of AI. As I said, 100 million plus users in 2 weeks of release, right? I mean, if you see as of today, if you see every week you are seeing some release from OpenAI or Anthropic or even Google, right? Every week you are getting a new model. And what our country did in 2024, Government of India announced the India mission 10,500 plus crores to compute, right? What we want to build, right? Most of the model you see today are built by the Western countries, right? So what we should build for India, and then what is necessary to build in India, right? That's the 10,000 crore plus budget allocated for compute, which is a core backbone of building any of these models, right? So you would have seen Sarvam, Bharat GPT. Bharat GPT is rightly inside IIT. Bharatgen, you would have heard of Bharatgen, right? I mean, Bharatgen, we work closely with them, and then they are building 70 billion model parameter, especially for India, in Hindi, Marathi, and other 22 Indian languages, right? And that is supported by DST plus Government of India. So that's what government did. I mean, I had a privilege to work on that project with MIT. So 6,000 crore is allocated, 6,000 plus crore is allocated for buying servers, which is typically your GPUs, which is from NVIDIA, and then 1,000 crores to build a model, 1,000 plus crores to build a model for India. Second is like setting up a center of excellence, right? And Maharashtra is getting 6 center of excellence under this 10,000 crore project, right? And finally, what it does, I mean, how it matters, right? It gives you minimum 20% of efficiency, right? By the time people, if you want to even draft a letter or draft a text, you can just talk to your GPT and then it drafts for you, right? If you give a prompt, right? If you give one line of instruction, it gives you 1 page or 2 page of content. That's it's generating. So it gives you minimum 20% of efficiency. So that's what it does for us. And if you ask me when this AI is there for quite a long time, right? I mean, it's 1950, right? I mean, Alan Turing came up with his idea is, can machine think? And then he made perceptron, the earlier part of AI engine, right? And then now if his name is famous because there is a Turing award given in his name, right? And that is especially giving for the computer scientist of the world, right? Turing award is equivalent to the Nobel Prize for computer science, right? So Turing started this, and 1997 was a breakthrough moment, right? I mean, the IBM Watson, the chess was played by IBM Watson against Gary Kasparov, and then Gary Kasparov lost the game to a computer, right? So that was the first breakthrough happened in AI. And 2011, all your iPhone came with called Siri, right? If you call your phone hi Siri, it started responding. So that is from 2011. 2016, AlphaGo is again a very complex board game played in China. That was beaten by again an AI engine. So Go players got defeated by the AI engine. That is on 2016. And 2022 is GPT. So if you look at GPT, ChatGPT, right, it is 2017 invention, right? Google came up with a very famous paper called Attention All You Need. So that is where the GPT story started, right? What Google did, they took somewhere around 7,000 books and then trained that 7,000 books and then made the first GPT version, right? And then floated to the market. And for next 3-4 years, nobody even responded to that because GPT was not new technology, because these are all built. I mean, the text can be generated through other mechanism also. The RNNs was very famous at the time, the recurrent neural network, which is there, and there were libraries like LSTM, which was generating content, right? So people was thinking, oh, what is new? Because already these are, I can write like a Shakespeare, or I can write like J.K. Rowling. So what GPT is going to do? So 2019, Google stopped this, and then they integrated the GPT with their Gmail, right? If the first token started you seeing in your Gmail, when you type the first letter, the other letter comes in a very shadow. That started in 2018, and that's where your GPT model came into your emailing system, right? BART was the model which is behind Gmail today. So what OpenAI did? So after doing this, Google open sourced the complete code, and then the company called Hugging Face took this and converted the complete code base to PyTorch, and then OpenAI took that, built a UI for that, and then floated as ChatGPT in 2022. So OpenAI as a company didn't invent GPT. The GPT was invented by someone else. He made the first UI, so user experience, right? How to use the GPT, right? If I give you a code, many people can't use, right? He made a user interface very, very similar to Google search, right? If you look at even today the ChatGPT interface, it's only a one search bar, right? I mean, people just, you put your query or the prompt there, it start responding. So they made a very convenient user experience on top of the GPTs, and then the adoption picked up from there, and then rest is story, right? I mean, now we are at ChatGPT 5.5, right? And then 24, India realized, I mean, this is going to be a major use case for India, right? And then they announced this 10,000 India under India AI mission. They allocated 10,000 crores for adoption. And one more, the India AI mission was run by NASSCOM for pretty 5 years, and then we handed over to government of India MATI in 2024, exactly at the same time. So we wrote the policy, we rolled out, and then handed over to MATI. So why does it matters for the government offices, right? It's all the engineers always talk about efficiency, productivity, all the stuff, but what it matters exactly for the government, right? First, it saves time, right? Because you are always bogged down with files over files, right? I mean, letter writing, drafting, so much of work is on drafting, right? I mean, I mean, when I joined government also, it was pretty new to me because everything is a filing system, right? You keep you can't communicate without a file, so we keep whatever you want to say, you put it in the file, write the letter, and then it goes table to table, right? That's so in that process, if the GPT is saving a lot of time because it drafts for you. So if you give an intent saying, okay, this is the letter, you have to refer this policies or law rules or whatever, or even the GOs, then it start looking at those rules, GOs, and then start drafting as you need. So that's your first draft, which consumes a lot of time, is taken care by the GPTs. So what GPT does, it doesn't replace you. So it is giving you the first draft, which is a major amount of time which you spend. And then the first draft, then it's up to you to edit, right? So GPT gives you the first draft in any of, be it coding, be it drafting, or be it marketing, right? It gives you the first output, and then there's a human in the system to validate, fix all those stuff. So it saves time. Save service citizen better, right? Most of the websites today, if you see, comes with a chatbot, right? So when the ChatGPT came, right? I mean, in 2024, we were approached by the CP Grams team, right? This Central Grievance Management System. So what they were asking us, typically for their internal use, right? The CP Grams has their own internal dashboard, right? And then TCS was their system integrator, right? What they were doing for each and every report, they go to the system integrator and then ask them to generate, and then it takes considerable amount of time as well as money, right? If every change request you have to pay, right? So what CP Grams asked us is like, if I able to build a chat interface under the CP Grams system, my officers can go and query, get the normal English language to a SQL language. The GPT converts that to SQL language, pulls the data from the database, and then creates a chart. So if this is done, that's a major use case for us, because that saves them a lot of time, because every 15 days they have a review, and then CP Grams is directly under the grievance is directly under Prime Minister Modi, and then the CP Grams is directly under his department, right? Every 15 days you want to see how many grievances you have cleared, how many grievances are pending, right? So we made that attempt using an open source GPT, which takes your natural language query to a SQL query and then respond back as a dashboard, as multiple charts as a dashboard. So that made and that was done as a small POC, and then that is scaled last year. So if you see CP Grams today, the internal the backend team of CP Grams, the officers are generating their own internal reports using these GPTs, right? So this is one. Second, all your if you look at some of the states RERA portal, right? I mean, or the MSME portal, right? So citizen had a lot of queries when the new policies or new GO comes, or new even the circulars come there, which is very difficult to track as a PDF, right? What these MSME platform and then the RERA platform did is like they have converted all those to a searchable text, and then they integrated, put it in the GPT as kind of something called retrieval augmented generation RAG file, and then they exposed all those in their website as a chatbot. So what citizen does, if they want to know something about a scheme or a new policy, I just go and chat, and then it gives the information. So that is one big use case we saw. Third, where in Assam, we met one of the non-profit called Jugalbandi. So what they did, they take all the state government's policies, especially women-centric policies, and converted them to Assami. Because what happens is, like, predominantly state announces a lot of welfare schemes, but it doesn't reach to the grassroots level. So how they make it? They make a simple app, and then converted all this policy, the scheme, welfare schemes, into the native language, and then the women can directly talk in the app, right, in their mother tongue, and then they know about the scheme, and then they can apply from there. So there was again a non-profit organization used these GPTs to build a scheme delivery mechanism, right? I mean, they can talk, apply, and then moment they tell either their Aadhaar number or any unique phone number, their application gets popped up, right? I mean, with some of the pre-filled information. And then, I mean, most of the states have gone with state family database, right? I mean, so moment you put your phone number or your Aadhaar number, or even some state have their family ID. So if you put that, you get the pre-filled form, and then people started applying. So these are predominant profound use cases which this GPT is bringing today. So that's the citizen delivery part. And then smarter decisions, right? So one, as I said, CP grams is one use case. When the dashboard is generated in real time, so the decisions are also faster, right? I don't want to wait for some time somebody to give me a report and analyze the report and tell what it is. And these systems are making decisions at a very fast pace, right? Most of the traffic management system is enabled with AI today, right? I mean, so that's why if you are violating your traffic, immediately you get a challan, right? The cameras are enabled with AI, right? So immediately you jump your signal or you are overspeeding, you get a ticket. That's all AI enabled today. And finally, stay competitive, right? If you know AI, your productivity is more, so you are always needed. So stay competitive. So they are always ahead of the competition. So that's what it brings for the officers. So let's see what it is, right? I mean, all fine, but what is artificial intelligence? It does only three things, right? It understands what you say, it learns through their patterns and keep learning when they see new data, and finally decides, right, what is the next course of action, right? All this GPT, what it does, it predicts the next word, right? That's all it is doing. It is doing nothing. It takes billions of parameters, got trained on billions of parameters, but do only one task. It is predicting the next token, which is the next word, right? Moment you type, it tells what might be the probable next word you are expecting, right? These are probabilistic output, right? I mean, it is not deterministic, right? So how far you are from your ground truth? So if I'm 95% nearer to my ground truth, that's accuracy you get. The rest of the percentage, whatever 5% or 10%, that we have to fill up. So that's where the human in the loop in the system, right? So it understands, it learns from the data, relearns from the data, and finally it decides, right? It gives the next word or the next course of action. So that's a simple way of explaining what AI is doing today. So people always say, right? I mean, what you see today is a narrow AI, right? I mean, it takes a lot of instruction from us and then predicting the next course of action, right? That's all come under narrow AI. And then narrow AI cannot replace us, right? Because human decision is completely different, right? And this works in a very two-dimensional way. It learns the data and then predicts. These are all pattern matching algorithm, right? It understands the pattern, tells, okay, this might be the probable solution you are looking for because your earlier pattern was like that. So your earlier course of action is like that. So I'm suggesting this course of action. But human doesn't decide like that, right? We think in three-dimensional approach, right? We take time, we take the environment, and then we take the data. So, but today if you see, all these GPTs are taking only data, right? And time to some extent, time and data, right? It doesn't take the environment at all, right? That's why people talk about physical AI and all nowadays, right? How you take the physical environment and build a model, right? That's why we termed it as a narrow AI. And second, people talk about artificial general intelligence, which we say when it takes the third dimension of environment and then give you a decision. Yes, is very, very, very closer to human, right? I mean, that's why they say next 10 years or 5 years down the line, AI will work like us. And finally, artificial superintelligence, which surpass the human capability. So which is still a theory, right? Because we don't know what is next 15 years. Even if you ask us what we will do after 15 years, we also don't know, right? So theoretically, people say after artificial general intelligence, there will be superintelligence, artificial superintelligence, so which will surpass human being. And these are some of the apps you are very predominantly using on a day-to-day life, right? Your Google Map or WhatsApp, everything is AI enabled today, right? If you look at WhatsApp today, you have a flower icon at the bottom of the app, right? I mean, that is integrated with Meta's Llama model, right? I mean, if you can just click that and then you can ask any question, or even you can ask to type a response for the WhatsApp message, it responds and you can send. So every application, whatever you are seeing today, is AI enabled, right? Your phone camera, Google Pay comes with an AI, right? I mean, immediately it identifies fraudulent transaction, Google search, and then Google Translate. So all these applications, right, whatever mobile app or even devices, hardware devices, come with AI enabled, right? And this is for last 10 years. To understand this better, we'll slightly move to machine learning. So all this started with machine learning, right? How machine started learning, right? There is something called data and the labeled data, right? So if you want to, if your AI want to see, I mean, the camera wants to identify a cat, what it does, you showed them 10,000 images of cat labeled as cat, right? The moment it sees the 10,001 image, it automatically says this is a cat image. So that's what the labeled data. So you take a photo of a cat in different direction, different dimension, and then labeled as cat. So moment you show a cat image, it identifies that as a cat or dog, right? Your self-driving cars, right? People talk about Waymo and other stuff, right? What they are doing? So they are learning through enormous labeled data, right? Human walking, road signals, traffic signals, everything is labeled and then fed into the system. So moment you are on the road, your car camera identifies, okay, there is a zebra crossing coming in, right? And there is a speed breaker, and then even to some extent they see the signals also, right? Far away, 500 meter away signal is there. So all this are learned through a labeled data set fed into the system, and then your machine understand the pattern and then identify the next image or a next pattern. That's the collect data. You are collecting data and then labeling the data. That's the first part. Second is you are training a model, right? Training a model, right? I mean, what you are building. So you are showing, okay, this is the kind of images you are going to see, right? And you are just replicating your brain, right? Model is your brain, right? How our brain reacts, right? So human learns things very fast, right? I mean, because how many neurons it emits, that's the same neuron concept. They took it, and then the model is a neural network. And then once you train the model, you test and validate whether it is what is intent to do, whether it is doing. So it is it's same cat example. It is identifying a cat. However, you show the cat images. So that's the validation. If it say, okay, 100 your threshold says 98% of the time it identifies that image, you go and deploy. So that's the final step of deploying a system, right? So you collect data, you label the data, pass it through some of the model, I mean pre-trained model, or you are building your own model, whatever. So pass through that, and then you test and finally deploy. So that's a very simple machine learning method, right? I mean, this is what is replicated even today at scale, right? I mean, GPT started with very few data, 7,000 books. Today they are talking about trillion tokens, right? 3 trillion token, 5 trillion tokens, right? So because these are all internet scale data, they have scraped, built the model. So again, there are three kind of the machine learning algorithm, which is one is supervised algorithm. So what I said is, like, you label all the data, you guide the model to see what is this image, or what is this text, right? And then that's called supervisory learning, right? You keep supervising that, telling this is the data you are seeing. So you are keep on instructing the model to see what it is seeing, right? That is all supervised learning. But what happens when you are looking at large unstructured data, right? Typically text or video or audio, which is unlabeling is not possible, right? So that's all comes under the unsupervised learning, right? I mean, your entire GPT is made through unsupervised learning, right? They just pass the massive data to an algorithm. The algorithm identify the pattern. I mean, rather you doing it, algorithm identify, okay, this is the kind of pattern I'm seeing in this large scale of data, and then it labels itself, right? And then produce result, right? If you look at your Gmail or any of your emailing system, you automatically some of the mails go to spam, right? The spam identification is done by unsupervised learning, right? It identified these are some of the words. It's typically come under spam category, so it moves your mail automatically to the spam folder. So that's all unsupervised learning. Finally, the reinforcement learning, right? What is happening in your, so you have built a model, right? And then you are training, and how long you can sit with a model and train, that is also a very tedious work, right? So what people came up and said, okay, I will train to some extent, and then model has to learn by itself. So how I will do, I will show data. When it exactly predicts the correct value, I will give a reward, right? And it proceeds. If it doesn't predict the right value, I will punish. So it goes back to the source and then start learning from the beginning. That's what the reinforcement learning does, right? It learns the data, produce results, I will reward, saying, okay, I am giving 1, so you pass. If it is not identifying, I will fail, and then I push back to the source, so you learn all the steps again and come. So that's what people are using today. The reinforcement learning along with human feedback is all your GPTs today. The latest GPT whatever you see, be it ChatGPT or Gemini, are all built of RLHF, which is reinforcement learning with human feedback. So these are again some of the big use cases: collect photo, analytics, diagnosis, and then what is the action needed. So during my introduction, some of the she spoke about some of the application which I built for Tamil Nadu government. Is one of the bigger application we built for healthcare is detecting cataract. So right, I mean, so Google came up with a use case of diabetic retinopathy. So that was a very big use case of computer vision in 2019, and then it was getting rolled out across the world, and then Google approached Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and then they want to roll out for this country, right? I mean, under Ayushman Bharat scheme. So they came to Tamil Nadu, and then they said they can give the algorithm as open source. You train your model, and then you can find out diabetic retinopathy in the eyes, right? So that was the case, right? So when it came to us, we said, okay, diabetic retinopathy, if you see across India, the percentage of people getting affected is very less. The avoidable blindness is due to cataract. Right, 66% of people going blind because unattended cataract. Because going to a district hospital for 2-3 days for a labor is it's a very difficult task. They lose the wage for the day and then they go and check. So what these people are doing, okay, they are fine with lower vision. So because they are not reading or writing, so for the daily labor, whatever vision they have, they go for, and then eventually they go blind after some time. So what we thought, build a system to identify cataract through the application can go with the ASHA workers, so that they can, because they are going home to home. So if you take a photo of an eye, if it says it's a cataract, they can push it to the district district hospital for a surgery. So that was a use case. So I proposed that to the government, saying, retinopathy is still fine because they are diabetic patients are always under constant surveillance with the doctor, right? I mean, every month or every 2-3 months they go to the doctor and see their condition, and then doctor eventually check their eye. So for them it is fine, but diabetes, for cataract, nobody is going to the doctor in a day to check their eye for a regular checkup. So the application was built. We collected because nobody has done through a mobile app. So we cannot say and diabetic retinopathy need a very special camera also. The fundus camera is required to capture the eye, right, retina of the eye. And each camera costs somewhere around 80,000. For scaling for a state is not that possible because you need minimum 150 cameras to take this and then go to the remote places. So instead the solution should be what we thought, it should be built on a mobile app, as an app, use the same mobile camera, somebody go and take a photo, can just get the diagnosis done. So we built the AI algorithm, put it back of the app as a e-parway, even if it is there in the store, it is there. So you can just, ASHA workers can go to when they are doing a home visit, they can ask anybody above 50. The age of 50 was set as a criteria because that's the age the cataracts start growing. So we asked them to take a photo, and then they sent photographs of eye images, right? And then we started labeling, seeing the images. What is during using the ophthalmology students, we just started labeling as cataract and no cataract kind of labels we did. And then finally we made the app. So what happened at the end, we also didn't believe this works because that's a very first attempt. And then we rolled out the app, and then the algorithm was detecting 98% accuracy of cataract. So when we did the survey, there were 2 specific districts in Tamil Nadu have high cataract. So Tuticorin is one, Nagapattinam is one. So these are the 2 districts people were surveying with very high cataract. So when this was detected, government came with a scheme saying within next 6 months we will eradicate cataract in those 2 districts. So massive screening was happening through different eye camps, and then within a month we were able to screen somewhere around 2 lakh people. And then all whoever had a cataract was pulled to the hospital. Surgeries were done within 6 months. So the hospital chain was beefed up. So the surgery was happening around 12 hours a day. They just did like Shankara Netralaya for a period of 6 months, and then the 2 districts eventually was out of cataract. So that was a major use case AI has done. I mean, it is not humanly possible for a person to check the patient through a regular methodology, right? And this and the research paper was published in 6 international ophthalmology journals. So that was a possibility. Even when we started, we also didn't believe. So it is possible. So then we thought, if it is 2020, this is possible. 2026, algorithms have matured a lot, and more is possible through the current algorithm. So this is how your neural network is. If you look at it's a very simple replication of your brain. Our brain takes input through our eyes, brain process, and then say what you are and infer what you are seeing, right? Similarly, your machine does that, right? Takes the image or any of the input, process through multiple neural net, and then predict the next or infer what it is seeing. That's a typical neural network which I have put. So let's come to generative AI, right? What is generative AI? It generates, right? It's either generate text or it generate images, even generate voice, and now it is generating code, right? Anything which predicts the next token, because whatever I say has different modality, right? Be it a text or video or code, the underlying is the next token. It predicts the next word or a next token. Token might be a single word or a multiple word, right? That's how the generative AI is all about. It predicts what is the next word, right? And then your generative AI is a subset of all I spoke today, from artificial intelligence to machine learning to deep learning, and then the final subset is what we are, is the generative AI. So how this generative AI works, right? How you make it work is writing a prompt. So however you write a better prompt, it gives better result, right? I have put some of the example, right? If you ask the generative AI to write a letter, it writes a letter of its own, because you didn't give any context, right? You asking just to write a letter. But if you see the second prompt, I'm asking a specific requirement, right? Write a formal letter in Marathi to a farmer in Nasik explaining the PM Kisan scheme eligibility and how to apply online. Keep it simple, under 200 words. If you type this prompt in any of your GPT in your mobile phone, it directly goes to the website of PM Kisan scheme, pull out the eligibility criteria from that scheme, and then draft the letter. And it drafts a letter exactly 200 words, within 200 words. So what it infers? So it is up to the prompt which is giving you the answer, right? Generic prompt will give you generic answer. Specific prompt will give you specific answer, right? We have a lot of examples. I will ask Amol Mahamani to take through all those examples. So these are some of the language, and the GPTs are called as large language models, right? I mean, this is trained on large text, typically at internet scale. If you look at any of the model description, they say they have scraped from internet from 2007 or from 2000 to till date, or 2026. What is the last date of scraping? That's a web data is your 60% of data, and then Wikipedia is to some extent, and then there are two different sites where the open source books are uploaded, book1.org, book2.org. So those are the predominant source files for training this data, right? I mean, that's the language they have taken. And then it might be, data might be in English, data might be in multiple languages, data might be in multiple modality also, right? Photo, images, video, audio, whatever. So that's the data they have taken and then built these GPTs. So that's where they are called large language models. All this Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Llama is open source model. So all this are taken from the mass internet data, and then the model is trained on that, and then that is used as a GPTs in various applications. So with this I stop here. From there, Amol Mahamani will take you through some of the use cases, and then you can try your prompts in your mobile phone. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
मला फक्त HDMI आहे. AI चे सदस्य आहात. मराठी बहुतेक सगळ्यांना येत असेल म्हणून मराठी बोलतो. Yeah, I am a Marathi, so I do speak Marathi. तर हे सेटअप होईपर्यंत आपण काही प्रश्न असले तर मी घेऊ शकतो. मी काही प्रॉम्प्ट्स लाईव्ह दाखवायचा प्रयत्न करणार आहे. 15 मिनिटात जे होईल ते आपण काही कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉम्प्ट्स पण घेऊ. प्रॉम्प्टबद्दल काही प्रश्न आहेत का? मी आधी प्रश्न काही घेऊ शकतो का? प्रॉम्प्टचे कोर्सेस फार विचारतात. हा चांगला प्रश्न आहे. प्रॉम्प्टबद्दल मी असं सांगू शकतो की, म्हणजे मी असं उदाहरण देतो की आपण आपल्या लहानपणी असं काहीतरी अल्लाउद्दीन आणि जादूचा दिवा वगैरे काहीतरी आपण गोष्टी ऐकायचो. तर असा काहीतरी आपल्या हातात दिवा आला आणि मी त्याला घासला आणि असा जिनी आला आणि मी त्याला सांगितलं की बाबा जाऊन एक घर बांध माझ्यासाठी. तर तो काय बांधेल? त्या प्रॉम्प्टमध्ये, प्रॉम्प्ट इंजिनिअरिंगमध्ये घराची जी संकल्पना हा जो राक्षस करेल तो त्याच्या संकल्पनेने बांधेल. मला पाहिजे तसं बांधणार नाही. यासाठी मला जसं पाहिजे हे मी त्याला समजून सांगितलं पाहिजे. आणि इग्लूचं घर असू शकतं, तिथलं मुंबईचे घर असू शकतं. मुंबईची घरं माझ्या मते थोडी छोटी असावीत, नागपूरची मोठी असावीत. तर त्या राक्षसाला सांगितलं पाहिजे की तुम्ही किती स्क्वेअर फूट, किती मजले, किती दार, किती खिडक्या. आणि हे जर नाही सांगितलं तर सगळ्यात मोठी धोकादायक गोष्ट म्हणजे हे जे LLM किंवा लार्ज लँग्वेज मॉडेल आहे हे आपल्यातर्फे अझम्पशन करतील आणि त्याप्रमाणे बांधतील. आणि ते जे काय अझम्पशन्स करतील, ते जे काय बाकीत करतील ते आपल्याला सांगणार नाहीत. आणि हा सगळ्यात मोठा त्यातला धोका आहे. तर त्यामुळे आता प्रॉम्प्ट इंजिनिअरिंगचे कोर्सेस काय करायचे सर हे आपण आपलं ठरवलं पाहिजे. पण मला वाटतं प्रॉम्प्ट इंजिनिअरिंगचे कोर्सेस करण्यापेक्षा तुम्ही काही असं अनुभव करा. म्हणजे तुम्ही त्याला काहीतरी प्रॉम्प्ट द्या, त्याचं जे काय आउटपुट येईल किंवा तो काय जनरेट करेल त्याला पुन्हा तुम्ही दुसरा प्रॉम्प्ट देऊ शकता आणि कंटेक्च्युअल प्रॉम्प्टसुद्धा देऊ शकतो. म्हणजे आपण कधी सांगितलं की हे एक असं परिपत्र आहे आणि त्या परिपत्राचा मला आढावा किंवा त्याचा सारांश काढून दे. त्याचा सारांश काढल्यावर तुम्ही त्याच्यावरती लिहू शकता की मला इंग्लिशमध्ये नाही, मला मराठीत पाहिजे होतं आणि मला 400 शब्द नाही 200 शब्द पाहिजे होतं. तर तो अजून संक्षिप्त करून अहवाल देऊ शकतो. याचं मी एक उदाहरण द्यायचा प्रयत्न करतो आहे. मला वाटतं की हे माझा लॅपटॉप अजून प्रोजेक्ट झालेलं नाही आहे. झालं का? ओके, व्हेरी गुड. तर आपण असं करूया, मला वाटतं हा माईक पण चालतो ना, हा माईक चालतो ना. तर काही प्रॉम्प्ट्स मी लिहून ठेवलेले आहेत आणि त्यातले आपण काही प्रॉम्प्ट्स घेऊया. हे जे काही मॉडेल्स आहेत असे हजारो मॉडेल्स आहेत. एक हगिंग फेस नावाची साईट आहे, त्याच्यावर जर तुम्ही व्हिजिट केलं, हगिंग फेस असं त्याला म्हणतात, तर त्याच्यावर असे लाखो करोडो मॉडेल आहेत. असे कित्येक मॉडेल्स आहेत जे आपण डाउनलोड पण करू शकतो. काही वैयक्तिक उपयोगासाठी सुद्धा तुम्ही वापरू शकता, कारण हे बरेचसे फ्री मॉडेल, जसं माझ्या साथीदारांनी सांगितलं की एल लामा, मिस्ट्राल हे मॉडेल फुकट आहेत, तुम्ही ते डाउनलोड पण करू शकता. त्याच्यात लाईक अनलाईक वगैरे जे काही आपण बघतो ना तसं असतं. तर मी ChatGPT वापरू शकेन किंवा जेमिनी वापरू शकेन किंवा क्लॉड, अँथ्रॉपिकचं क्लॉड हे आजकाल बरेच चर्चेत आहे. क्लॉड मायथोस नावाचं नवीन मॉडेल पब्लिश झालेलं आहे. तर आपण कुठलं तरी सॉनेट किंवा जे काय मॉडेल असेल सध्या ते वापरूया. ते सॉनेट 4.6 आहे. तर काही जे प्रॉम्प्ट्स मी काढून ठेवलेले आहेत, तर आपण त्यातलं साधं काहीतरी घेऊया की ओपन एआयला आपण एक प्रॉम्प्ट देऊया की ड्राफ्ट लिगल नोटीस इन इंग्लिश. प्रॉम्प्ट इंग्लिशमध्ये असला पाहिजे असं नाही, तो मराठीतसुद्धा असू शकतो किंवा तो कुठल्याही भाषेत असू शकतो. आत्ता बरेचसे मॉडेल्स इंडिया AI मिशनमधून जे आलेले आहे ते 23 ते 24 इंडिक लँग्वेजेसमध्ये ऑपरेट होऊ शकतात. म्हणजे त्याला आपण प्रॉम्प्टसुद्धा देऊ शकतो. प्रॉम्प्ट म्हणजे बेसिकली आपण त्याला सांगतो की तू काय काम कर, काय काम आपल्याला करून पाहिजे हे आपण जे काय मॉडेलला सांगतो तो आहे प्रॉम्प्ट. आणि तो जितका विस्तृत असू शकतो, जितका पूर्णकृत असू शकतो, तितकं ते आपल्याला पाहिजे ते काम करेल, नाहीतर ते त्याला पाहिजे ते काम करून देईल. कारण आपण त्याला सांगितलंच नाही. राक्षसाला सांगितलं घर बांधतो, तो काय बांधेल माहीत नाही आपल्याला, काय बांधेल तो कदाचित 4 दाराचं घर बांधेल. कारण त्याला सांगितलं नाही की मला एकच दार पाहिजे, 4 खिडक्या पाहिजेत. तर त्याला सांगितलं पाहिजे की तू 10 खिडक्या कर पण दार एकच कर, हे आपण त्याला सांगितलं पाहिजे. कारण नाही सांगितलं तर तो काहीतरी वेगळं करू शकतो. तर हे आपण काही प्रॉम्प्ट्स करूया. वेळेअभावी मला वाटतं मी 1-2च प्रॉम्प्ट काहीतरी वापरू शकेन. त्यातला मी हे एक वापरतो, नंबर जे 3ऱ्या क्रमांकाचं आहे, हे आपण काहीतरी करून बघूया. समराईज ॲटलिस्ट 3 मेजर पॉलिसी डिसिजन्स. बहुतेक तुम्हाला वाचता येणार नाही. इथं असं लिहिलं की समराईज द लेटेस्ट 3 मेजर पॉलिसी डिसिजन्स बाय गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र इन द ॲग्रिकल्चर सेक्शन 24. आणि त्याला आपण असंही सांगतोय की नुसतं समराईज नको करू, कसं समराईज कर हेही त्याला सांगितलं की समराईज कर, प्रेझेंट ईच ॲज, मला असं काहीतरी टॅब्युलर फॉर्म दे, काहीतरी टेबलच्या स्वरूपात मला दे. त्याच्यात आपण पॉलिसी नेम, ते काय करतं, कुणाला बेनिफिट करतं, कुणाला उपयोग आहे आणि ते कसं अप्लाय करायचं, ते उपयोगीत कसं आणायचं, हे सगळं आपण त्याला विचारूया. तर हे साधारण 2-3 सेकंदात मॉडेल्स करू शकतात. जसं माझ्या साथीदारांनी सांगितलं, हे जे मोठे मॉडेल्स आहेत ते 10 ट्रिलियन 12 ट्रिलियन पॅरामीटर्सवर ट्रेन झालेले आहेत. तर आपण कुठलंही मॉडेल वापरू शकतो. आपण बहुतेक हेच वापरूया, आपण जेमिनी वापरून. हाच प्रॉम्प्ट मी फक्त तिथं आता कट पेस्ट करतो आहे. तर हे कदाचित तुम्ही केलेली असेल, तर हे लगेचच आपल्यासमोरच ते आता ड्राफ्ट करू शकतं. तर आता ते लगेचच त्यांनी सांगितलं की हे जे काय तुम्ही बघताय, आपण त्याला सांगितलं पॉलिसी नेम, व्हॉट इट डज, हू बेनिफिट्स. तर त्यांनी त्याच प्रकारे एक टेबल करून संक्षिप्त आपल्याला उत्तर दिलेलं आहे. हे उत्तर आपण कट पेस्ट करू शकतो, इथनं कॉपी करू शकतो आणि ते कुठेही आपण पेस्ट करू शकतो, सेव्ह करू शकतो वगैरे वगैरे, राईट. आता मी जसं तुम्हाला सांगितलं की प्रॉम्प्ट हा याच भाषेत असला पाहिजे असं नाही. हाच प्रॉम्प्ट मी मराठीत लिहिला आहे खाली, कदाचित तुम्हाला वाचता येणार नाही, पण तोच प्रॉम्प्ट मी खाली मराठीत लिहिलेला आहे. 2024मध्ये महाराष्ट्र शासनाने शेती क्षेत्रात घेतलेल्या शेवटच्या 3 प्रमुख धोरणात्मक निर्णयाचे सारांश तयार करा आणि ते असे मला प्रस्तुत करा. म्हणजे अर्ज कसा करायचा, कुणाला फायदेशीर आहे, ते काय करतं, हाच प्रॉम्प्ट आहे. मी फक्त त्याचं भाषांतर केलं आहे. आता हाही प्रॉम्प्ट आपण त्याला देऊ शकतो आणि हा प्रॉम्प्ट आपण आता गंमत म्हणून दुसरा मॉडेल असं पण आहे की तुम्ही एका मॉडेलला एक प्रॉम्प्ट एकावेळी दिला आणि दुसऱ्या दिवशी दिला तर तेच आउटपुट येईल असं नाही आहे. आउटपुट कदाचित वेगळं येईल, कारण त्याच्या जी म्हणजे जनरेटिव्ह AI हे सृजनशील आहे. सृजनशील आहे म्हणजे त्याच्यात काहीतरी एक जनरेट करण्याची क्षमता आहे, काहीतरी एक नवीन विचार करण्याची क्षमता आहे. थोडक्यात आपण असा विचार करू शकतो आणि न्यूरल मॉडेल्सबद्दल असा विचार करू शकतो की एका माणसाला तुम्ही एक प्रश्न आज विचारला आणि 3 दिवसांनी विचारलं तर उत्तर थोडं वेगळं येऊ शकतं. आणि आपण जे काय न्यूरल नेटवर्क शिकतो, जे काय न्यूरॉन्सचे इनपुट लेअर, हिडन लेअर आणि आउटपुट लेअर जे आपण बघितले, थोड्याफार प्रकाराने आपले जे न्यूरॉन्स मेंदूमध्ये शिकतात, मोठ्या मेंदूमध्ये असं म्हणतात लहान मेंदू आणि इथे मोठा मेंदू, तर त्याच प्रकाराने आपण वेट्स ॲडजस्ट करतो ज्या लिंक्स एका न्यूरॉनहून दुसऱ्या न्यूरॉनला कनेक्ट करतात. आणि हे जे वेट्स असतात तेच पब्लिश करणे म्हणजे मॉडेल पब्लिश करणे, जे ओपन सोर्समध्ये पब्लिश होतात. आता जे नवीन डीपसीक व्हर्जन 4 पब्लिश झाले त्याचे वेट्स पब्लिश झालेले. त्याच्यामुळे मी दुसऱ्या मॉडेलला हा प्रॉम्प्ट दिला तर थोडंसं उत्तर वेगळं असू शकतं. आता आपण त्याला मराठीत प्रॉम्प्ट देणार आहे, या 4 क्रमांकाची इथं गरज नाही आहे. हा प्रॉम्प्ट तोच आहे. आणि याच्यानंतर मी एक कॉम्प्लेक्स प्रॉम्प्ट म्हणजे थोडंसं काहीतरी एक किचकट गोष्ट दाखवणार आहे. तर त्यांनी आपल्याबरोबर साधारण तेच तयार केलेलं आहे, तसंच एक टॅब्युलर फॉर्म तयार केलेला आहे आणि त्याने आपल्याला लगेच उत्तर दिलेलं आहे. तर हे आपल्याला वेळ वाचवण्यासाठी बरंचसं उपकृत असू शकतं. म्हणजे आपण जर जसं वापरायचं तसं वापरू शकतो. तर आपण अजून एक इथं एक प्रॉम्प्ट घेऊया जो
So typically what it does, it took the prompt and then it went to the web, searched the relevant material, took it, since you asked in a tabular format, it took it to the processed into the tabular format and put it as a tabular format. So what you ask in your prompt is your output, right? Be very very specific what exactly you want, right? I mean, if you want in a DO letter format, it gives you, if it knows some of the DO letters, it typically produces the same DO letter formats, right? So show them some examples. There are, if you see the panel, there are below there are certain tools, right? You can attach files, you can do web research, deep research. So use those tools, attach some files to showcase some example. Tell them, okay, look at this sample and then prepare the letter for me at a similar format. So it does exactly the way it is written. So what is your primary work? Get the output, validate the output, because we don't know, these informations are very latest because these models are trained some time back, right? I mean, if you look at the card, it exactly says till which year, which period of data it is trained, right? If it is only trained till 2024, it will not tell the data which is after that. So what you need to do, you have to do a web research for that. So if you enable deep research, web research, it goes to the internet and then picks up the latest data, add the with the data which is there in the model and produce a result. So that's exactly you need to do, right? So let us look at the examples.
हा जो दुसरा मी प्रॉम्प्ट देतोय हा कदाचित मला असं वाटतं की तुम्हाला जास्त उपयोगी असू शकतं. मी एक तुम्हाला रिपोर्ट दाखवणार आहे जो मी कुठनं तरी एक पब्लिक डोमेनमधून डाउनलोड केला आणि मी गमत म्हणून त्याची पानं मोजली तर त्याच्या 350 पानं आहेत. आणि आता समजा मला वेळ नाही आहे एवढं सगळं वाचायला, पण मला हे वाचायची गरज आहे. तर हा जो रिपोर्ट मी इथे तुम्हाला दाखवतोय हा 350 पानाचा रिपोर्ट आहे. तर असं मी या मॉडेलला आता सांगणार आहे की हा जो रिपोर्ट आहे हा मला संक्षिप्त करून मला फक्त 2 पानात सांग. आणि मी त्याला फक्त 2 पानात नाही, आता हा 350 पानं आपण वाचणार नाही, कदाचित आपल्याला वाचायला वेळही नसेल, 1 आठवडा लागेल. तर मी त्याला असं सांगणार आहे की हे जे काय किचकट आणि ह्याच्यात असे असू शकते की ह्याच्यात कायदेशीर भाषा वापरली असू शकते. तर मी काय लॉयर नाही, तर मला कायदेशीर भाषा कळणार नाही. तर मी मॉडेलला आता असं सांगणार आहे की हा जो 350 पानाचा रिपोर्ट आहे, आता बरंच काय ह्याच्यात किचकट गोष्टी भरलेल्या आहेत, बराच डेटा आहे, हे वाचणं थोडंसं कदाचित आपल्यासाठी अवघड असेल. तर मला त्याचा एक अहवाल पाहिजे, मला त्याचा सारांश पाहिजे. म्हणून मी त्याला सांगितलं की हा जो 350 पानाचा परफॉर्मन्स रिपोर्ट आहे महाराष्ट्र शासनाचा, याचा मला एक छोटासा 8व्या स्टँडर्डच्या शेतकऱ्याला कळण्यासारख्या भाषेत मला सांग. म्हणजे काय, आपण त्याला सोपी सुकर भाषा म्हटलं तरी ही हा एक सब्जेक्टिव्ह इंटरप्रिटेशन होतं. सोपी भाषा म्हणजे काय, म्हणून मी त्याला असंही हे प्रॉम्प्ट इंजिनिअरिंग आहे सर. म्हणजे मी त्याला सांगितलं की साध्या सरळ भाषेत सांग असं नाही, मी त्या आता मॉडेलला सांगतो की शेतकऱ्याला कळेल अशा भाषेत सांग, तेही 10व्या पास झालेल्या शेतकऱ्याला कळेल अशा भाषेत सांग. आणि आता आपण याला हा रिपोर्ट फीड करणार आहे. म्हणजे हे जे चोकलिंगम सांगत होते की त्याच्यावर आपण फाईल टाकू शकतो, तर हाच रिपोर्ट मी त्याला आता फीड करतो. फीड व्हायला थोडासा कदाचित वेळ लागू शकेल, इंटरनेटच्या स्पीडवर अवलंबून आहे. पण आता तो एकदा अपलोड झाला, आता तो अपलोड झालासुद्धा. आता हे किती आपण पटकन काम करू शकतो ते आता आपण बघूया. आता हे थोडासा वेळ घेईल कारण 350 पानाचा रिपोर्ट आहे. पण मी त्याला सांगितलं की मला हा रिपोर्ट फक्त 2 पानात, मराठी नाही लिहिलं का मी? हां लिहिलं ना, सिम्पल मराठी. हां, तर आता तो इंग्लिश रिपोर्टचा, इंग्लिश होता ना मला वाटतं रिपोर्ट, हां तर त्याचा तो आता मराठी भाषांतर पण करेल. या सगळ्या 350 पानांना वाचून 2 पानांचं संक्षिप्त आपल्यासमोर प्रस्तुतीकरण आता होईल. तर आता थोडासा कदाचित त्याला वेळ लागू शकतो, पण खात्री धरा की ते करणार आहे. समजा ते नाहीच झालं ना तरी मी केलं त्यांनी. तर आता हे जे काय अश्वशक्ती म्हणजे हॉर्स पॉवर वगैरे जे काय आहे, मुख्यमंत्री वीज योजना वगैरे जे काय आहे, तर हे एवढ्या छोट्या ह्याच्यात त्यांनी त्याचा अहवाल काढलेला आहे. याच्यापेक्षा ते चांगला आउटपुट देऊ शकतं. मी क्लॉड नावाचं जे मॉडेल आहे ते थोडासा वेळ घेईल. वेळ अशासाठी घेईल की त्याचे बरेच टियर असतात. एक फुकट असतो. इट टूक द ॲग्रिकल्चर चॅप्टर्स. Yeah, because I wrote that, but even otherwise there is a Pashupalan and Goan, I mean, even otherwise the other sectors also kind of picked up, but you're right, I mean, many of the sectors, because it's kind of ते एक शेतकरी आपण लिहिल्यामुळे शेतकऱ्याच्या संबंधित त्यांनी जास्त काय ते काढलेलं आहे. तर हा रिपोर्ट मी त्याला असंही सांगू शकतो की मला तारीख आणि वारलेन हाच रिपोर्ट मी दुसऱ्या मॉडेलला दिला. आता आपण ते रन करायची गरज नाही आहे, पण मी तुम्हाला एक गमत म्हणून तो दाखवतो की त्यांनी कसा काढला होता आणि मी त्याचे आउटपुट काढून ठेवलेले आहे. मला वाटतं हाच आहे तो.
So that's where the subject matter expertise come in, right? I mean, so people who continuously read the economic survey report, they know what exactly they are looking for, what kind of questions they have to ask the GPT, right? So for us, it's very, if you put a very common query and ask, I mean, it's just pick something and then put as a response. But if you are a subject matter expertise, and then if you know what exactly you are looking for in this economic survey report, and you put those as a prompt, and then the response will be exactly what you are asking for.
तर हा जो अहवाल आहे हा अहवाल तोच आहे, फक्त हा जरासा फॉर्मॅटेड असल्यामुळे जरा चांगला दिसतो आहे. हे मी क्लॉडला दिलं होतं, तर क्लॉडनी हे आउटपुट दिलं, तर आपण ते काढण्याची गरज नाही. एक शेवटचा प्रॉम्प्ट देतो, मला आता वेळ हवावी. आपण काही क्रिएटिव्ह टास्क पण त्याला काहीतरी करायला सांगतो. म्हणजे मी आधी जे म्हणलं की जनरेटिव्ह नेचर म्हणजे जे सृजनशील आहे, जे चित्र काढू शकतं, जे कविता लिहू शकतं, गाणं लिहू शकतं, चाल लावू शकतं, गाऊन दाखवू शकतं, याला आपण काहीतरी सांगितलं की मला एक 10 पानाचा मल्टिपल चॉईस. आता हे क्लॉडला देऊ आपण, कुठल्याही मॉडेलला दिलं तरी चालतं. हे आपण क्लॉड या मॉडेलला दिलेलं आता की मला असं काहीतरी एक क्वेश्चन आन्सर पाहिजे ज्याच्यात मल्टिपल चॉईस पाहिजेत आणि असं काहीतरी मला, आणि राईट आन्सर पण सांग मला असेसमेंट करण्यासाठी. तर ते काहीतरी Q&A करून दाखवू शकतं. तर मला वाटतं हा प्रॉम्प्ट झाल्यावर आपण, आणि त्याची जी थिंकिंग प्रोसेस आहे ते काय काय करतं हेही ते लिहून देत असतं. जे काय आपण मॉडेल्स वापरतो असे बरेच असतात. आम्ही गुगल अँटीग्रॅव्हिटीसुद्धा बऱ्याच वेळा वापरतो, ट्रे वापरतो. जे काय आपण मॉडेल्स वापरतो तर त्याची विचार करण्याची काय क्षमता आहे हे ते लिहून दाखवतं. मला एकच गोष्ट सांगायला वाटतं, ते आउटपुट येण्याऐवजी आपण दुसऱ्या मॉडेलला देऊ आणि नाही काढलं लवकर तर ते येईल, पण ते कदाचित त्याच्या लोडप्रमाणे शेवटी उत्तर येईल. जेन AIचं किंवा कुठल्याही LLMचं तुम्ही जे काय आउटपुट घ्याल ते आउटपुट डोळे बंद करून वापरणं हे धोकादायक आहे. हे मी मुद्दाम सांगू शकतो, कारण डोळे बंद करून म्हणजे जसं तुम्ही सर विचारलं प्रॉम्प्ट इंजिनिअरिंग, हे LLM हॅल्युसिनेट काय करतं. हॅल्युसिनेट म्हणजे ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ अस इज ट्राईंग टू अज्युम समथिंग, इट इज मेकिंग सम अझम्पशन्स ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ अस. आपल्यातर्फे ते स्वतः काहीतरी विचार करतं, कारण आपण त्याला विस्तृत कल्पना दिलेली नाही आहे. आणि त्यामुळं ते जे काय करेल ते तुम्हाला जे पाहिजे असेल तसं अचूक कदाचित नसेल, 90% असेल, 10% नसेल, पण धचा मा झाल्यावर काय होतं मराठी लोकांना माहिती आहे. बरोबर आहे ना.
So typically we say, right, I mean, why your mission hallucinates, right? This is typically built by human, right? Whenever we are students in a school, right, we never left a question unanswered, even we know or we don't know, we just write something, right? I mean, we pick up some of the words and then we just fill it up, right? I mean, thinking, okay, 2 marks will be here, 1 mark, we just get a pass mark there, right? So that's exactly what your LLM is trying to do. It never say no to any of your questions. It tried to answer everything. So picking up some of your prompts, figuring out what are the words inside their model, and then frame it out and produce that font. So that's and you can't avoid, because this is built on a massive scale. Hallucination happens, right? Hallucination cannot be stopped.
Reduced, it can be reduced.
So you can reduce to some extent, but you can't make it zero. So it hallucinates. So that's where human in the loop is very important when you are generating something. So the last use case what Amol was showing you, right, and the multiple choice questions, right. So the Ministry of Education has an app called the Disha, right. That's a complete CBSE syllabus app, right. I mean, students can pick up install the app and then they can see all the CBSE syllabus onboarded into the app, right. If the moment I input my class, I get all the content pertaining to the class, right? What Disha is coming up with right now is the multiple generating questions on the go, right? I mean, I studied this lesson. I can just ask, okay, generate some 5 questions or 10 questions out of this chapter, and then they can push that to the class. So teachers are generating questions on the go, and then find out how much of the students understand the concept on that day. So that's what Disha is coming up, right? So people would have seen a lot of private companies use cases or enterprise use case companies, but the government in many states and even center is using AI in many ways, right? I mean, each agriculture using in massive scale, right? I had a similar kind of session in Pune when agriculture department strategy meeting was happening last year. So I had a 2-hour session for them, focusing on agri use cases, how agriculture can, Gen AI can be used in agriculture. Using the scheme documents, even using satellite images, right? I mean, that's one thing, loading the images and then ask the GPT to reveal certain things from the satellite image, right? How much percentage of crop is there in the particular area, right? And whether even to some extent what kind of crop it is, right? It is a paddy or a sugar cane. So that kind of information we can get from this GPT. So I had a very similar session in Pune last April.
सो आय जस्ट क्लोज मी याबद्दल याबरोबरच आपण बंद करूया. हे मला फक्त दाखवायचं होतं की यांनी प्रश्न उत्तर आपल्यासाठी लिहिलेले आहेत. एक शेवटची यूज केस मी लिहून ठेवली, त्याला बहुतेक तुमच्यासाठी उपयोगी असेल हे, की कुठलं तरी मी त्याला सांगतो की मला पत्र लिही. कसं पत्र लिही की काहीतरी अर्ध्या एकरची गव्हर्मेंट जमीन, काहीतरी सर्वे नंबर 42 ठाणे डिस्ट्रिक्टमध्ये, तर असं लँड रेव्हेन्यूचं काहीतरी कॉन्सिक्वेन्सेस ऑफ नॉट कम्प्लायन्स, तुम्ही जर याला म्हणजे याचं जर पालन केलं नाही तर 30 दिवसात आम्ही काय हे करू शकतो, काय कारवाई करू शकतो, असं आपण त्याला पत्र लिहायला सांगितलं. तर ते आपल्यासाठी पत्र लिहून लगेच काही 2 सेकंदात पत्र देतं. त्याच्यावर आपण सांगितलं नाही की तो तारीखवार नाही घातली. आपण ते करूया आत्ता, म्हणजे मला वाटतं मी 1 मिनिट घेईन. मी सांगेन की अरे ह्याच्यात तारीखवार नाही घातली, तर आपण कंटेक्च्युअल प्रश्नाचे अजून प्रश्न त्याला विचारू शकतो. तर ते आता काहीतरी उत्तर लिहिल, एवढा वेळ नाही घेत, ते आलं ते शेवटी काहीतरी. तर इथं आपण त्याला डाउनलोडही करू शकतो. तर त्यांनी हे प्रॉपर्टी आयडेंटिफाईड वगैरे जे काही त्यांनी पत्र लिहिलेलं आहे, आपण याला उघडू पण शकतो. हे PDF जी काय आहे ती ही लीगल नोटीस त्यांनी दिलेली आहे, तर तुम्ही हे वापरू शकता. तर आपण त्याला सांगू शकतो की त्यांनी कदाचित लिहिली असेल, तारीखवार लिहिली आहे, तारीखवार लिहिली आहे, पण नसेल लिहिली तर आपण त्याला सांगू शकतो. नंतर आपण त्याला हेल्पलाईन काय, तर हे जे काय पत्र हे कदाचित लिहायला आपल्याला अर्धा तास पाऊण तास लागला असता, याने आपण लगेचच लिहू शकतो. अर्थातच हे डोळे बंद करून आपण नाही पाठवायचं आहे, याला आपण पहिल्यांदा व्हॅलिडेट करायचं आहे की त्याच्यात हो त्याचा काही धचा मा मी सांगितलं ना तुला, एका अक्षराने काही होऊ शकतं. तर त्यामुळं आपण जरासं म्हणजे कुठलीही LLM, कुठल्याही ChatGPTने दिलेली गोष्ट ते कितीही ट्रेन मॉडेल असलं तरी आपण आपल्यातर्फे एकदा बघूनच मग ते पुढे पाठवावं. मला वाटतं आपण वेळेअभावी इथेच थांबूया. इथे मला आणि चोखलिंगम यांना संधी दिली टेकवारीबद्दल, यावेळी आम्ही खूप आभारी आहोत. NASSCOM तर्फे आभार.
थँक्यू ऑल.
प्रश्न करायचा वेळ नाही आहे ना. देयर इज नो टाइम फॉर Q&A, राईट? वी आर डन, राईट? Yeah, you can try those.
And then you can try yourself. Write back to us if you have any queries. Thank you.
या थँक्यू. जस्ट इन केस एखादा प्रश्न असला, मला वाटतं की वेळ संपलेली, पण मला याने सांगितलं की एखादा प्रश्न असला तर आपण उत्तर देऊ शकतो. काही प्रश्न असला तर आपण विचारू शकता किंवा आपण इथे संपवू शकतो. हां 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 बरोबर आहे. आपण डॉक्युमेंट्स टाकतो ते, हो बरोबर. त्याचे 2 प्रकार असतात. एक म्हणजे जे कॉर्पोरेट नॉलेज असतं, जे तुमच्या कॉर्पोरेटचं नॉलेज असतं, जसं चोकालिंगम यांनी सांगितलं RAG नावाची एक पद्धत आहे, रिट्रिव्हल ऑगमेंटेड जनरेशन. तर त्यात आपण डॉक्युमेंट जे काय ट्रेनिंग झालेलं LLMचं जे काय असेल 10 ट्रिलियन पॅरामीटरचं, त्याच्यावर आपण आपलं डॉक्युमेंट म्हणजे त्याच्यावरती आपण आपलं डॉक्युमेंट देऊ शकतो. कारण कुठलंही मॉडेल हे काहीतरी 2024 2025 कुठल्या तरी एका ठिकाणी ट्रेन होऊन थांबलेलं असतं. त्याच्यावर आपण आपलं डॉक्युमेंट देऊन एज कॅशिंग करू शकतो, ज्यामुळे आपली जी उत्तरं आहेत ते पहिल्यांदा आपल्या डॉक्युमेंटकडनं येतील, जी आपल्याबरोबर राहतील, जी कुठं पब्लिक डोमेनमध्ये जाणार नाही, ते आपल्याबरोबरच राहतात. अजून दुसरी गोष्ट अशी आहे की कुठलंही मॉडेल तुम्ही क्लॉड घेतलं किंवा त्याच्या सेटिंग मी तुम्हाला दाखवू शकतो. ह्याच्यात आपण डेटा प्रायव्हसीचं सेटिंग देऊ शकतो की आम्ही जो डेटा देतो आहे तो कुठेही पब्लिक डोमेनला देऊ नका, तुमच्या परवानगीशिवाय तो बाहेर जाऊ शकत नाही. तर त्यामुळे तसं प्रोटेक्शन आपण डेटा प्रोटेक्शन वापरू शकतो. आणि जर आपल्यासाठी आपली जर उत्तरं पाहिजे असतील, जे की तुमच्या डिपार्टमेंटला पाहिजे असतील, तर तुम्ही असं नाही की कुठल्या तरी LLM मॉडेलला तुम्ही कुठला तरी कॉन्फिडेन्शियल डेटा द्याल, ते देणं शक्यच नाही तुम्हाला. तर म्हणून तुम्ही RAG नावाची जी पद्धत आहे त्याप्रमाणे तुम्ही तुमची उत्तरं त्याच्यातनं एक्स्ट्रा करू, त्याच्यातनं काढू शकता. आणि ते जे काय ज्ञान आहे ते तुमच्या डिपार्टमेंटपर्यंत राहू शकतं. धन्यवाद. हाँ, ऐसे सेटिंग्स असतात. हो, ChatGPT में किसी में भी सेटिंग होता है. ChatGPT ये जो 2-3 लाख जो मॉडल्स हैं ना, 2-3 लाख में वैसे तो काफ़ी मॉडल है. हगिंग फेस में आप जाओगे तो 2.8 मिलियन मॉडल्स दिखेंगे आपको. You have the settings over there for the data privacy settings.
Read from your data, right? Please attach your files. I mean, for example, the normal GPT have only the internet data, right? See, the attached documents have your own data, right? Whatever PDFs you have, you just upload all those PDFs, right? But make sure those PDFs doesn't have any personal information, either name of a person, phone number, address. So please don't upload those things. So sensitive personal information don't upload because that information gets stored. Right? So please don't upload those data. So if it is a PDF, you can strike it off. There are mechanisms to redact your PDF, right? I mean, you can make it dark, right? I mean, even your registration documents, when they scan and upload, they just hide your Aadhaar number. I mean, all those PAN card number, right? Redact your PDF and then upload those PDFs to any of your ChatGPT or Gemini, and then you start querying, and then you can ask your prompt to write in a very similar way, or you can ask the GPT to refer the document and produce a new document. It does. So what happens is, like, moment you show the documents, it understands only from the document. It doesn't go to the data which is have. So it doesn't go to the LLM. It takes your data, and then the GPT's work is only to respond to your data, which means framing the sentence and then putting as a response. So most of the answer comes from your document or from your data rather than from the LLM.
That's the age caching called RAG. So you can just call
and
it
even you can use in your own GPTs, whatever ChatGPT or Gemini uses. Upload the PDF and ask questions related only to the PDF. It just generates from that.
How to set that? Can you do that now?
How to?
How to set?
Playground.
Oh, that will be another prompt.
So
they say that this is how to set.
So see, every GPT comes with something called playground, GPT playground, right? I mean, it doesn't come in the regular ChatGPT, so it comes at a ChatGPT/playground. So if you go to that, if you look at the right hand side panel, there are a lot of settings: P value, Q A value, K value, T value. So if you keep the T value 0, right, it hallucinates less. So temperature is a value which is giving you higher hallucination. Make T 0. P value, how much probable answer you are looking for. For example, if you are writing a marketing document, marketing brochure, you need high creativity, right? I mean, so you keep the higher T value and then keep the P value less, so it gives you a very creative answer. So if you keep the temperature low and then P value high, it gives a more probabilistic answer. So those are the settings you have to look at. And then when you are seeing how much answer you want to look at from your LLM, so that you can also set, okay, only for generation purpose look at LLM, for the data look at the documents we uploaded or whatever documents we attached. So it looks at your document. It doesn't go to the LLM. It uses LLM only to generate the answer.
And
so those are the settings.
Are not going out. In this case, it's not going out.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Dhanyawad.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for a session that delivered exactly what it promised. Generative AI can feel like something distant and technical. Today, you make it feel usable, and that is the hardest thing to do. To Shri Prashant Badgeri sir, thank you so much for your gracious felicitation, and to each and every one of you in this room for your questions, your attention and your openness today. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.